Hey guys, it's Marguerite with Wreaths by Marguerite here again in the studio for another tutorial. Today we are going to do this cute little Valentine's Day gnome wreath. It's done in the storm door style. You may be asking you what a storm door style wreath is. Well, a storm door style wreath is a wreath that is thinner than your average wreath. A regular wreath has lots of fluff and big old bows and all the goodies on it, accessories sometimes. But a lot of us want to protect our investments by placing them between the door and your storm door or your screen door. And the space in between those doors is only about 4 inches, so it doesn't give you a whole lot of room to work with. With a storm door wreath, it's designed, if you look at it from the side, to be under 3 inches deep. Sometimes they'll get up to 4 inches, but this one is a little over 3 inches. It still has tons of ribbon on it and all the bells and whistles, just not big bows. So let's get started on making this wreath. Okay everyone, so here is the little cutie that we're going to put on the wreath today. It's a little gnome with the pink heart. First thing I'm going to do is go over everything that you're going to have in your box. You're going to have your little gnome sign. There will be already attachments on the back for you to attach your sign to the wreath once it's assembled. This is a MDF sign, so therefore you can attach the pipe cleaners via staples. Keep in mind that you never want to use more than a 1/4 inch staple, or it will end up going through your pretty sign and ruining it. So for the sake of the kits, I've attached all your pipe cleaners to it. You're going to get a total of 14 pipe cleaners in your box. 12 of them will be attached to the wreath base, and 2 of them will be cut in half and put on your sign in most cases. So that's your little guy. We're going to set him to the side. Then you're going to get a 14-inch wreath base. It must be a wreath base that's wired with 4 separate rings and 6 crossbars, because that's how we attach the pipe cleaners to the base so that everything lies pretty and thin. You're putting 6 pipe cleaners attached to the outside 2 rings, these 2, and then you're putting 6 pipe cleaners on the 2 rings on the inside. So ring 1, 2, 3, and 4. The outside is 1 and 2, the inside is 3 and 4. So on the outside 6, I attach them where the crossbars are. And on the inside 2, I attach them in between where the 2 crossbars are. That way they sit perfectly aligned. So you've seen the sign, you've seen the base. Then you get the deco mesh. This is the base of your wreath. It's the solid foundation that supports your ribbon and gives it fluff. You're going to get 20 plus maybe 1 or 2 extra pieces that are 20 inches long by 10 inches this way. They will be pre-cut, rolled up like these are in your kit. And you will get anywhere from 3 to 6 bundles of ribbon. You can do any combination, but you need 2 to 3 different ribbons at least. But in this kit, you're getting 1.5 inch of the heart, 2.5 inch of the solid white, 2.5 inch of the stripe, and 1.5 inch of the stripe. The difference is you're getting 12 and 12, 6 and 6. A total of 36 pieces of ribbon is what you're going to end up with. They're all folded 12 inches in length, so it's very simple and easy for you to cut. And you'll see as we go along what I mean. You'll also receive written directions on what you're learning here on the tutorial today that explains everything that I will be explaining to you, as well as a thank you letter. The tools you'll need, these will not be supplied for you, are a pair of scissors, some cutters, wire cutters of some sort, a ruler, if you don't have one of these cutting mats. You will need a cutting mat if in the future you do this on your own and you want to cut this mesh, because you don't want to cut up your table. That would be really bad. I recommend having a clip. Chip clip will work. Any kind of clip, you'll understand why in a few moments. And I use these little plastic embroidery needles to help put the sign through the mesh. Again, you'll see what I use this for when we get to that point. So let me move the tools out of the way so we can get started. I'm gonna move all the ribbon over to the side. Hope everyone's having a great day. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna attach the first layer of mesh to your wreath base. And we do it in a specific way in order to keep the wreath as thin as possible, to keep it under that 4-inch height this way, 4 inches this way, that we talked about in the intro. Okay, so this is where you take your first piece, and this is where you need your ruler and you need your little clip if you don't have a cutting board. So what you're doing is you're looking for the center of your mesh. This is a 10-inch mesh, so 5 inches would be right here. And I put the clip on there and turn it around. Important to note, you want to make sure you lay your mesh curl side down on the table, right? So this is more of a visual and to hold it down while you're gathering it than anything. So you're going to start on this end at the center mark. If you're using the ruler, 10 inches, 5 inches is your center. So you would start here, and you're going to take your thumbs on each side of the center and your fingers up in here, and you're going to gather the mesh into your thumbs. You're just going to crawl up, trying to keep as close to the center as you possibly can. All right. The technical term we call this is scrunching. Gather whatever word you want. Then you take your clip off, and you're going to have what looks like a complete circle. All right. And you're going to open one of your outer pipe cleaners on the outer row. We keep the inner row folded in so we don't accidentally put anything in those at this time. And you're going to take your ring in front of you with your pipe cleaners horizontal to you, and you're going to put the mesh inside vertically, keeping the center. You're going to bring your pipe cleaners up on each side of the mesh you've gathered, and you're going to tightly and lowly twist 2 to 3 times. 2, 3. Now this doesn't look as round as it was when I had it in my hand, does it? But that's okay if you just grab your center pipe cleaner and hold it down and grab your mesh and pull out, but never pull it out from the edge because that will change the design in the mesh. So I'm going to bring this out while holding it in the center so we can get the shape right. And then once you've got a circle, you want to make sure that the outer section of the circle, the cut edge, is up and over the outer edge of the inside of the circle. The reason you do this is because you don't want any of your cut edges on the outside of the wreath. When you do that, it makes it more susceptible to fraying. You can't stop mesh from fraying, but this will minimize it. It's just the nature of the beast. So let me make sure it's nice and circular. And then once you get it done, you're going to take your outside edges and curl them under a little bit so that they mesh kind of acts like Velcro. So when you do this, it helps it stick to itself. Okay? So we're going to do this all the way around the outside 2 rings with the other 5 pipe cleaners. Something that I do that not everyone does is I skip one and then I go to the other. You can just go completely around, or you can do it the way I do. I find that it lays flatter so that you have a thinner profile on your door. If this is going to go on your door. If it's not going on your door, it's not as important. But that's the whole idea behind the design, is to fit it between your storm and screen door and your regular door. So again, curl size down. We lay our mesh on the table. We use either our cutting board or the ruler to find our center, which on 10-inch mesh is 5 inches. You'll get to the point where you can do this without the ruler. Turn it around and put your clip at the top. Get your ruler again, find your center, and then using the technical term this time, I'm going to say scrunch, also known as gathering, and bring it all the way up, little at a time, creeping your fingers up till you get to the clip. Pull the clip up and loosely hold it in your hand so that if you are way off on your circle, you can adjust it without having to start over. The less you handle mesh, the better. It's not as forgiving as ribbon and other products, okay? Now we're turning it back down. Remember, curl side down. Put your pipe cleaner horizontal in front of you and put your mesh in the pipe cleaner vertically. Hold it in place while you bring the pipe cleaners up and around the center and twist tight and low 2 to 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to bring the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge, the outside edge over the inside cut edge. Hold it in the center because I didn't put it in exactly even. Remember, never hold it from the edge when you're adjusting the mesh. Bring your hand inside some. Then curl your edges. So now we're going to skip this one and go to the next one. Back to what I said with doing every other. Okay? All right. So curl size down. Ruler. 5 inches, because this is 10-inch mesh. Put your clip there so you know where your center is. Oop. Ribbon was trying to hitch a ride. You don't want to do that. Find your center, 5 inches. Gather the mesh into your thumbs, creeping your fingers up the mesh as you go. Trying to stay as close to the center as possible. This is definitely easier when you have mesh that has a design in it. It helps you keep your center. This is a solid mesh. It's a wide foil, one of my favorites because it has so much coverage. There's just no way you'll see the metal frame with this mesh once it's completed. Center your frame in front of you with your pipe cleaners horizontal to you again, and then put your mesh in vertically. Okay? Hold that in place while you bring your pipe cleaners up. Tight and low 2 to 3 times. 2, 3. Then outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. This is way off. So hold it in the center. Bring it out from the center to get that round shape back like it should be. No one's perfect. We all have our own techniques that work best for us. This is just a guideline. Curling your edges. Make sure your outside edge is curled under. It's going to fight you, but that is what it is. The most important thing on this bottom layer, because this is going to be the bottom layer, is you have nice roundness to each of your pieces of mesh because the inside's not going to show. So remember that. You can hide a lot of the mechanics. Okay, so now we're ready to do the second group of 3 on the outside ring. Whoop. Ribbon's trying to take a ride. Like I said, mesh is like Velcro. It sticks to everything, so be really careful with it. Curl size down. Get your ruler back out. Clip it at 5 inches. Come back down here. Clip it up. Not clip it. Start gathering into your thumbs. tight as you can, because we're wanting to keep this nice and thin once it's complete. Trying to stay dead center on your way up to the clip. Gather it in your hand, remove the clip. There you go. Loosely hold it in your hand so you can make adjustments. Sometimes I lay it on the table while I'm adjusting it. Sometimes I do it in the air. It's whatever is most comfortable with for you. We have the pipe cleaners horizontal to us. Put the mesh in there vertically. See, it likes to stick. Bring that pipe cleaner up and around. Low and tight, 2 or 3 times twist. 2, 3. Now these, same technique. I'm going to put those up and out of the way. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. It's not exactly circular, so I'm going to hold the pipe cleaner in the center and bring it out. So see, now it sits nice on top of the two below it. I just think it gives a better finished look when you do it that way than just going completely around. But like I said, it's entirely up to you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. I'm just here to give you the guidelines on how to do it the way I do it. Curl side down. Clip at 5 inches. Turn it around. 5 inches. Start gathering into your thumb. Bring it up. Take the clip off. Make sure your circle's right. As close as you can get it. Pipe cleaner's horizontal in front of you. Put the mesh in there vertically. Yes, I turn the wreath a little bit at an angle. It's just easier for me. Don't be uncomfortable. It doesn't have to go exactly the way I do it. 2, 3. You'll find your own shortcuts, but this is your basic direction. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Make sure the outside of your circle on this level is nice and round. Now right here, I zoom. You probably can't see it, but like I said, it frays, the mesh frays. So as I go along, if I see any pieces sticking up, I'll cut it off. Or you can wait until you're done with the whole project to go around, because I always go around at the end, and I also check the back to see. So see how thin that is so far? Got one more on this ring. Spread out the pipe cleaners. Get your next piece of mesh. Curl side down. Get your ruler out. Put it at 5 inches because it's 10 inches wide. Wide in mesh. Remember, it's just your gauge to keep your line down the center. 5 inches. And then start gathering. Into your thumb. Trying as best you can to stay in the center. If you mess up, you can always let go. Go back. Start again. If you get too far off the center. Keeping an eye on that clip at the top. Get that as close to a circle as you can. Pipe cleaners in front of you horizontally. Put your mesh in vertically. Twist the pipe cleaner low and tight 1, 2, 3 times. I always recommend 3, you never know. Outside cut side over inside cut side, outside cut edge over inside cut edge. This one's off a little, so I'm holding the center, pulling the edges, getting these pipe cleaners up and out of the way. Make sure I'm nice and round on the outside. Don't be afraid to get a little aggressive with it. Sometimes that's what it takes. Show it who's in charge. And I always, after I finish the first level, I go back and I pull my pipe cleaners up for this level, because the next step is going to be putting a ribbon in these pipe cleaners in the 6 that we've done on the bottom level. So, in this design, we've got 2 different combinations. All right, we're using this with both. So you have 12 pieces of this, 12 pieces of the white, and like I said, 6 and 6. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to get the ribbon ready for the entire project. We need to do the ribbon next for this level, then we'll go in and we'll put the mesh for the second set of rings, and then we'll do the last level of ribbon. But we cut all the ribbon at once, so it's one and done, if you know what I mean. Okay. I'm going to start with these. They're all folded at 12 inches. Each of your ribbon tails needs to be 12 inches long. You can do 13 or 14 if you're doing it on your own, but in the kits they're all cut to use at 12 inches long. They're all folded. So what I'm going to do is, this is important for you to see, you're going to go where it's folded and cut along the fold on both ends. I missed one. Okay. And see how once you cut it, the back of it's facing up here and the front of it's facing up here. We're going to turn them all together. Some people cut them all at once. I don't. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold them in half with the top of the ribbon on the inside. So we're doing this, also known as the pretty side. The pretty side is on the inside of your fold. You're folding them exactly in half. Exactly in half. Make sure you put a nice crease in it down here, because that's going to help you with finding your center when you're attaching them to the wreath. In half. In half. Okay. And we're going to do that also with a 1.5 inch. This was 2.5 inch of the stripe. We're going to put our finger in there and we're going to cut it at the top and at the bottom. And again, you have the back side and the top side. We're going to flip these this way. And then we're going to fold them in half with the top on the inside. Excuse me. Fold it in half with the top on the inside. Top on the inside. Folding it in half. Top on the inside, folding it in half. Okay? Make sure you have a trash can. That's another tool you're going to want to have. This heart ribbon, you're going to have 12 pieces because it's going to go in every tie as well as the white, where these are going to go in every other. So I'm going to do the cut. They're all folded at 12 inches. Oop, come on. So you have a pretty side and the back side. Flip them all the same. Fold it in half. I'm going to be doing this with all 36 pieces of ribbon. If you're feeling comfortable, you can do the next step after this in bundles, but I always recommend, especially if you're new at this, to do them one at a time. That way, if you do happen to make a mistake, and I even make them still, nobody's perfect. You haven't destroyed the whole bundle of ribbon. So folding them in half, pretty side on the inside, pretty side on the inside. Folding them in half and pretty on the inside. Okay. Since there's 12 of these, you're going to put 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you notice, there's an extra piece. We'll put that aside. So these are the 2 different combinations, and then we're using white in both. These just happen to be separate even though there's 12 of them because these were both the end of 2 rolls of ribbon. So sometimes when you get a kit from me, you'll see that. Sometimes they'll all be 12 together. Okay, so there's 6 here of the 2.5 inch solid white. And I'm going to find the center, cut here because they are folded at 12 inches for you, and fold it here, down here at 12 inches. Now, if you notice, I have my finger in between both sides. That's because even though these are solid, there is a right and a top and a bottom to them. So the tops are on the outside when they're folded. So you're going to take these are top up, and these are top down. I'm going to flip them. So all the tops are up, and then I'm going to fold them in half. It's not absolutely crucial that you do this, but if you're like me, the details will make you nuts if you don't do it exactly that way. And I'll do it in the second pile again to show you. Fold them in half. Top side is on the inside of the fold. Okay, so that 6 will go with this group. All right. All right, so remember, they're all folded. So this is the top, this is the top. Okay, this is the top, this is the top, this is the bottom, this is the bottom. So I'm going to cut it at the fold with my finger in the middle to keep the tops separated. And I'm going to cut down here. They're all folded at 12 inches, I mean. So top, up, bottom down. That's the bottom, that's the top, so I'm going to flip it. So now all 6 of them, top is up, bottom is down. Now I'm going to fold them in half again, just like I did with all the other ones. Okay. So you've got your top on the inside, your bottom on the outside. So the finished side of the ribbon is on the inside and the unfinished is on the outside. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our designs on the end of the ribbon tails, okay? The best way I know how to explain to do this is to put your folded creased side down on the table with your cut side facing the ceiling. You're going to fold the wired edges right up against each other. I'm going to bring it in a little closer for this. Okay. Folded side on the table till you get comfortable with this. Take your wired edges up against each other. You want to make sure they're right. And you're going to cut from the folded edge, this folded edge here, towards the wire corner. And that's how you get your design. And you're going to do this 36 times. Yes, you'll be a professional when you're done. Now, I'm going to do it again. Folded side on the table. Folded side on the table. Fold the wired edges up against each other. You've got this here. I'm going to cut from the fold to the wire towards the ceiling. Like that. Okay. Now I'm going to make a mistake on purpose so I can show you how to correct it if you do it. So you have the folded edge on the table. You fold the wires against each other. I'm going to purposely not line them up. Cut it from the fold to the wire. And you're going to see that one side is not the same size as the other. That didn't work very well because Somehow it ended up right. Oh well, that's right. See, even trying to make a mistake, I couldn't do it. All right, so I'm going to accidentally put it all the way over here. I'm going to cut from the folded side to the wire. Look how much smaller. Let me put it on the table. See how much thicker it is here and thinner it is here? If that happens, you don't have to throw away your piece of ribbon. You just go back and fold it the way it should have been corrected. And you can see there's a gap here. I'm going to go back to the wired edge, and just below the mistake, I'm going to cut it correctly to match it up. And now it's right. Now I'm going to use this one as an example of another boo-boo not to make. Let me just go ahead and do this one. So I got the folded side on the table. Take the wired edges up against each other, cut from the fold to the wire. And it's not a terribly deep V. If you want a little bit deeper, go ahead and recut it, coming down on the folded side and a little bit more of an angle. Okay? Perfect. So I'm going to show you what happens if you cut too deep of a V. So I have the folded side on the table, take the wired edges, bring them together, and I'm going to come way down here and cut my V instead of up here at more of a 45-degree angle. I'm going to go way down here. Now see how deep that is? Not to mention I cut it wrong there. If you cut a V that deep, your ribbon is going to, when it goes on your wreath, it's going to fold in like this. And you don't want that to happen with that. So don't cut the deep V. And again, you can fix that by going back. It's going to make it a little shorter, folding it and then cutting it at the correct angle. And it's fixed. Just don't do that too often. I'm going to go back out. I'll try to clean as you go so things aren't chaotic for you. I know I don't like a mess. So now I'm just going to continue to cut all of these so that we're ready to go for the rest of the wreath. That's the 6 for these. And I'm going to speed it up a little bit. And the nice thing about making this style of wreath too is in having all your ribbon folded in this fashion, if for some reason you had to get up and walk away and couldn't finish it at this point, you can just pick up right where you started without having to worry about is your ribbon facing the right direction? Where am I? And by all means, use the directions that I included in your box to write down additional notes on to help you better work on your project. So you're using 18 pieces of ribbon on each level of mesh on this wreath. There are variations that you can do. I went with 2 different combinations. You can either use 2 or 3 ribbons. You can use 2 1.5-inch ribbons and a 2.5-inch ribbon. You can use 2 2.5-inch ribbons and a 1.5-inch ribbon. Or you can do all 3 1.5-inch ribbons, which is what this is, 1.5 versus 2.5. You can also do just 2 2.5-inch ribbons. It's entirely up to you what you want to do. In this kit, we did 2 2.5 inches and a 1 inch on one combination, and 1 2.5-inch ribbon and 2 1.5-inch ribbons. And when I say 2.5-inch ribbons, I'm talking about 2.5 inches this way and 1.5 inches in this way. The length of each tail is 12 inches. So we just keep cutting them. Make sure that you have a good set of scissors. You don't want to have cut all sorts of different things. You want a nice sharp pair of scissors that you use exclusively for crafting, in particular ribbons. That's what I use. I use the Fiskars brand. Because there is wire on the edge of this ribbon. We only use wire ribbon in this project. I really only use wire ribbon in all my projects, big and fluffy or storm door style wreaths. Whoop, that piece went flying. It's just better in every way. They stay fluffed out better. They just work with you better. Remember, folded side down, fold up here, wire to wire, cut your V. They call this a dovetail. Some people call it ducktail. Some people call it a V. I call it a dovetail. This gives it a little more finished look. It's what works best with this style of wreath. My best recommendation when choosing ribbons for your wreath is to look at your sign. That's going to be what tells you what color combinations you want to use. You can mix and match patterns. You can use solid colored ribbon like the white one here. It's entirely up to you. Ultimately, there's no wrong way to do it. There's just some basic direction that you need to follow in order to put it together. And you can always reach out to me if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to answer for you. And there's the last one. Over here for now. Went the wrong way. Bring that out a little bit more. There we go. So now all the bundles are cut. I like to assemble my bundles so I can quickly put everything together in the wreath, especially if I'm doing a show and I'm doing a bunch in one day. I do all this stuff ahead of time and then put it together. So the way you assemble your bundles of ribbon to put on your wreath, my best recommendation is to do it this way. Put the ribbon that you like the best on top. And in this case, for this particular wreath, it's going to be this one for me. And I like to stagger my ribbons. Unless I'm using all three ribbons that have designs on them, I like to put my solid color ribbon in the middle. So I'm going to take the hearts, the solid, and then I'm going to put the stripe ribbon on the back. And I'm going to fold my packages together like that, my bundles. That way they're all ready inside of each other. Whoop, come back here. No running away. Okay, so that there, and then on the outside. And when I get done with this combination, I'll have 6 bundles. Oh, see, I am almost screwed up. Let's try it again. Put that one in there. And I'm going to put that one in there. I should have laid them on the table the way I want them, huh? That would have kept me from breaking my stride. There's that last one. All right, that's design 1. On this one, I think I'm going to go with the hearts on the bottom. So we'll have the stripe on the top, the white in the middle, and the heart on the bottom. Okay, so stripe, solid, hearts. Stripe, solid, hearts. See how folding them ahead of time makes it easier for you to put them together? At least that's what I do, but it's up to you. These are just guidelines. And the last one. I always like to double check again to make sure I have 12 bundles total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So we are ready to attach bundles to our mesh base. We're going to take the pipe cleaners and we're going to put them vertically to ourselves versus, let me make that a little closer, versus when we did the mesh and it was horizontal. So now, mesh horizontal, ribbon vertical. So we're going to take one from the first bundle and we're going to open it on the table. And one word of advice, this heart ribbon is directional. All of the hearts go one way. So it's going to be up to you how you lay your ribbon in the wreath. But I'm going to lay all the bundles, this bundle right here, with the hearts going this way. And in this bundle, I'm going to do it with the hearts going the other way. So I've got some symmetry. It gives it some dimension that way, okay? So we're doing this one first. We have the creased center. That's how we know where our center is on our ribbon. And you're going to do the same thing as you did with the mesh. You're going to gather it into your fingers till you have like that, right? And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to bring it into a V. Because when you put it in this pipe cleaner, you're going to want your ribbon to come to the outside of the wreath so you can see it. You don't want it hidden, right? So the next step is put it in the pipe cleaner. And this time you're going to go really tight with the pipe cleaner once, and then you're going to not do tight and low. You're going to do tight and wrap it up so you create what I call a stub. About 6 to 8 times. And that's where our clippers are going to come in. So you can see from here to here, creates a stump. You want at least an inch. And then you cut the excess off, throw it away, and then you just kind of tuck it in, and then you take and you, in this case I created a little bubble at the top of the ribbons where the pipe cleaner is. I'm going to pop that bubble out. And then I'm going to lay my ribbon where I want it to lay. I'm going to bring the 2.5 inch stripe up here while I'm holding the other two, and then lay it like this so that they're facing the outside of the wreath. But on this side, I'm going to put the heart design on the inside. And the stripes on the outside. Get that bubble out. Okay, just like that. You want it to face the outside. Never grab your ribbon from the tips when you're moving it. Grab it from inside more, just like with the mesh. Otherwise you'll be trimming your ribbon because it'll end up fraying. It's more forgiving than the mesh, but it's not, you know, it still can get jacked up, for lack of a better way to put it. And just like with the mesh, I'm going to do every other. So now I'm going to go to the next one, skip it, and go to the next one and put my pipe cleaners vertically to me. And I'm going to go get the same design again. Because remember, we've got 2 bundles. So every other is going to be that design. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to make sure my hearts are the same direction as that one was. Get back up here in the camera. I'm going to gather it all in my fingers, pinch it in there like that. See that? Then I'm going to put it into a V and put it in the wreath. Nice and tight once, super tight and low, and then tight and up about 6 to 8 times. 3, 4, 6, 7. Creating that 1 inch stub. Cut the excess off. I'm going to pop that bubble out on both sides, tuck that in. So I'm copying that one right here. So I'm going to have the stripes at the top, white, and then the hearts down here, all facing to the outside of the wreath. Then on this side, it's the opposite. Hold the top 2, bring the stripe out here, have the white, and bring the hearts on the inside. Just run your fingers over them if they get wrinkly. I just kind of hold it like that while I'm making sure that it comes to the outside edge. Skip one, go to the next one. So it's every other, remember? We're using the same one, same cluster of ribbons with the hearts on top. Make sure your hearts are going the same direction. Gather in the center. Make a V. Put it in your pipe cleaner. Tight and low one time and then twist up 6 to 8 times to give yourself a 1-inch nub. Cut the excess off. Pop those little bubbles out that always seem to form from putting them in there. Bringing the stripe up, spreading these out. Push your little 1-inch stub up. This time bringing the stripes here, bring the white, and see how they like to move. They've got a little bit of an attitude, don't they? So that's the first 3. Okay, now we're going to set the other 3 of that style combination aside and go to the second one. This is the one with the 1.5-inch hearts on the bottom. Now remember, this time you're going to want to put the hearts the opposite direction as they were there, if you're following my lead. Got the stripe on the top, gather it in the center, pinch it in your fingers. Get yourself looking like that, and then make the V, okay? And then over here, pipe cleaner is vertical. Make sure your V's are to the outside. So we see more of the ribbon, one nice and tight and low, and then about 6 to 8 up to make a 1-inch stub. Cut off the excess. Okay. Push that stub down. This time we are going to bring the heart out the bottom. Push that bubble out and have the white like that. And on this side, bring that out. Don't be afraid of the ribbon. It's in there nice and tight. So if you jerk on it, tug on it, it's going to be okay. Just don't do it from the edge, bottom edge. You'll end up having to trim it again. Go to the next one. Again, making sure your hearts are in the same direction as this one. And it's not, so I'm going to turn it around. Make sure your ribbons are all centered. You pinch it up like that. Make yourself a V. Come into the pipe cleaners vertically. Nice and tight and low once, and then 6 to 8 times up to make the stub. Cut the excess off. Push that down. Pop out those bubbles. That's from the gathering part. Bring the heart out here while holding the other 2. Smooth it out. And then, stay. And then bring this one and this one. I always like to hold it up in the top so I can manage it. Got one more to go and we're done with our first layer. Okay, get this bundle. Make sure that the hearts are in the right direction. They are not, so I'll turn it. See, a piece of this wire came out. It doesn't affect the whole wire. Just chop it off. Pinch. So it looks like that. It's gathered. Make your V. Put it in your vertical pipe cleaners. Tight and low one time, and then take it up 6 to 8 times to make a 1-inch stub. Fold that stub in and bring the heart out from the bottom, white in the middle, stripe on the top, stripe down in the middle, get rid of those little bubbles. Okay, so now we've completed our first layer of the wreath. So the next step, put that ribbon aside out of the way for now, is going to be pulling up the pipe cleaners. I'm going to turn it over. First I'm going to show you how thin that is. See how thin that is? I'm going to turn it over and you can see that there's the other 6 sets of pipe cleaners on the ring 3 and 4. So I'm going to bring those forward in between the pieces of mesh from the other layer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So guess what's next? It's time to do the mesh again. So I'm going to put, remember, the pipe cleaners go horizontally to us when we're doing the mesh. Okay, we have 6 pieces left. Like I said, you might have a couple extra pieces in your kit. I try to give a little room to work with. Get that clip back and your ruler in your hands. So curled side down, 5 inches. We're going to put that clip back on there. At 5 inches, turn it around, curl side down. Measure out 5 and start gathering. And it's the same process as we did on the bottom layer. We're going to put the mesh in every other pipe cleaner. Twist tie. Take that clip off. Make sure it's circular. Come over here and put it in vertically. Nice and tight and low, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Just put that pipe cleaner up in the air so it's not in your way. And then you're going to take, again, remember, the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. And now you're fighting with the mesh on the bottom layer, because remember, the mesh is like Velcro. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Making sure that you have a nice circular piece of mesh. Skip the next pipe cleaner, go to this one, get another piece, curl side down, clip up 5 inches, turn it around, find your center again, 5 inches on this because it's 10-inch mesh. Get this out of the way, it's hitchhiking. Gather it into your thumbs. Right up the center, using that clip as your visual to keep on center. Make sure you have it in a circular pattern. Come over to your next pipe cleaners, which are horizontal. Put your mesh in vertically. Nice and tight. 1 time, and then 2 more times nice and tight. Okay. Take your outside cut edge over your inside cut edge. Bring that pipe cleaner up and out of the way. Your outside cut edge over your inside cut edge. Make sure you have a circular pattern. If you have to adjust your mesh, remember, never grab from the edges. Skip one, go to the next one, make that horizontal. Your pipe cleaner's horizontal. Mesh vertical. Get another piece of mesh. Curl side down. Ruler or your cutting mat, which has all the numbers on it. Clip it at 5 inches because it's 10-inch mesh. Cut it 20 inches in length. ruler again, 5 inches, and start gathering into your thumbs, nice and tight. Lots of little gathers. Makes it sit smaller and thinner to keep that Gnome Wreath under the 4-inch profile we want once it's done. Make sure it's a circular pattern. Take it vertically into your pipe cleaner. Making sure it's in the center, nice and tight. 1, 2, 3. Put that pipe cleaner up in the air so it's ready for you to put your ribbon in. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Adjust it by holding your pipe cleaners and never pulling your mesh from the edge. If you just can't get it adjusted right while it's in the pipe cleaner, take it back out and do it again. It's okay. It happens to all of us. Okay, so that's the first 3. Now we're going to do the final 3. And we'll be done with the mesh. Some people, this is the part they hate the most. Some people think that this is the funnest part. I like it all. But always remember, you really want to wear short sleeves when you're working with mesh. Otherwise, it just sticks to everything. But it's entirely up to you. You can always roll up your sleeves. So there's 5 inches. Curl side down on the mesh. I am at a point where I can hold it down like this and gather it in one hand. I just wanted to show you guys that one time. See? So it's entirely up to you. We all have our different techniques. I'm just trying to give you guys the most basic direction as possible, and then you can adjust it to your liking. Nice and tight, 2 to 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Outside cut edge. The mesh over the inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Make sure it's nice and circular. Make any adjustments you need to get it to look like that. Okay, 2 to go. Yes, the ribbon is wrinkling along the way, but we always fluff it up when we get to the end. So, not a problem. Don't focus on going back and uncrinkling any ribbon that gets a little disheveled. That's the end process. And I usually stand for that because I want to get a better view. 5 inches, curl side down, turn it around. 5 inches, gather it up the center. I'm going to do it my way one more time and then go back to the original way. I hold it there and just gather with my index and my middle finger. Works really well for me. As you've noticed, I have smaller thumbs than the average, so this is the technique I found that works best for me. It's more comfortable, I should say. Just goes to show there are no limitations. Vertically in the horizontal pipe cleaners. Tight and low 3 times. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. I know that's not round. Okay. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. I want to make sure that's nice and round out there. Okay. It's really sticking to itself now. There. Last, no, is that the last one? 1. 1, 2. Guess what, you guys? I think I put one in. Ha! I think I already had one in there. I did. See? Ay, ay, ay. I'm alright. See? I'm just going to go back. See? I'm not perfect either. We're all human. But always, you know, don't beat yourself up. As you can see, it's easy fix. Like, why do I not have enough pieces? I know I cut enough. All right, and you go 2, 3, outside cut edge, over inside cut edge. By handling it a little more, I created a little bit more fray on this piece of mesh, outside cut edge over inside cut edge, but no worries. Number 1, it's hidden. Number 2, it's not going to get any worse. And number 3, I can always cut it if it bothers me that much, okay? Now we're down to our final piece of mesh. There's another one that just came off. All right, here's our final piece of mesh. Curl side down, 5 inches. Put that clip on there. Turn it around, 5 inches, right there. I'm gonna go back to the original. Thumbs at the bottom, crawling with the fingers, up the center, all the way to the clip. Get the clip off. Do your best to make sure that's round. Okay. Pipe cleaners are horizontal. Let me go this way. This side looks prettier to me. It's laying better. Vertically put that in the pipe cleaners. Tight and low 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, put that pipe cleaner up in the air like you don't care. Just kidding. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Make sure you hold the pipe cleaners to make any adjustments to get that circle just right. All right, so guess what? We're done with the mesh. Yay! Now the next part is your choice in how you want to do it. You can either put your ribbon on first, or you can put your sign on first. I personally like to put the sign on first because I like the ribbon overlapping the sign a little bit. So now I just take a look at my wreath, fluff out the ribbon on the bottom layer, and look at it standing up to see which side looks like 12 o'clock to me. And when I say that, o'clock. So this would be 12 o'clock, this would be 6 o'clock. Okay? So that would be my center of the wreath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the sign in first, all right? And spread out the pipe cleaners. So it's going to go right here and right here. So that point's going to be at 12. That point right here is going to be at 6 o'clock. And that's where this cute little blue, if I can find it, there it is, embroidery needle comes in handy. If you don't have one, I get these at Walmart. They help with getting it through the mesh. You don't need it, but it helps to get the pipe cleaner ties through the mesh. So I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to do the top first. I've got 2 ties. So I'm going to straddle the pipe cleaner for the ribbon here and put my little blue needle in there so you can see. Put the pipe cleaner in there and fold it over a little bit. Pick up the wreath and push it through until I get the pipe cleaner all the way through, and then I pull it off the needle. All right? Yes, it's bent. It's not a big deal, I promise. Doesn't affect its usage. Then I'm going to put on the other side of the pipe cleaners for the ribbon, put the pipe cleaner from the sign through the needle, push the needle through the back, pull it through, and then take it off the needle. So I'm going to center his tip of his hat there, and I'm going to hold the hem, and I'm going to hold the wreath, and I'm going to turn it over backwards and see where'd it go. There it is. There's the 2 pipe cleaners. And I'm going to tighten it up, but not too tight, because we don't want it floppy on the front, and then twist it multiple times. Probably about 10 times, and then cut off the excess with your wire cutters. I don't need that. Get rid of that excess and just wind it around one of the wire frames. And I'm going to go back to the front so that if that was 12 o'clock, this is 6 o'clock. And in this case, the pipe cleaners are going to go out a little bit from 6 o'clock, but you still want to keep that point centered. So when we go through the mesh, we want to make sure we don't catch any of the ribbon from the bottom layer. Put that in there. Take it all the way through the wreath to the back. Grab it from the back. All right, now we're going to do it over here, making sure not to go through any ribbon to damage that. We don't want that. Fold it over so it stays on the needle. All right. I twisted it so it didn't go all the way through. Okay, so let's make sure it's centered. I'm going to make sure it's centered, holding it with my hand, and flip it over gently. And then I'm going to take the pipe cleaners and wrap them around the wire frame until they're gone. Or you can wrap them 5 or 6 times and then cut the excess off. I just use the whole thing. Makes me feel better about the fact that the sign is secured. And I always try to make sure that the pipe cleaners match the mesh, so that if for some reason, here's the other one, if for some reason your customer or you have a door with a glass window on it, the mechanics of the back of the wreath don't look ugly. It's got a better finished look, so I attach them to the wire frame, and we can turn it back over, and he's in place. Put that pipe cleaner on both sides, and then we're going to go back out wide angle, and we're going to put the ribbon on. Okay, everything's moving today. Ooh. All right, now you have to just decide which of the 2 bundles you want to start with first. I'm going to put this bundle because I want the heart ribbon on top, okay? So, again, you're going to put the pipe cleaners vertically because you're putting the ribbon in horizontally. You're pinching it up in your finger like that. On this level, you don't have to do the V like this. It's entirely up to you. I'm not going to, because I want to, as much as I love this mesh, I want to cover a lot of it. It is the foundation. The ribbon and the sign are the features. So this time you're going to tie the pipe cleaner tight and low 1, 2, 3 times. On this level, we don't cut the pipe cleaner. There's a couple of conditions. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to spread out your ribbon in the pattern that you want to spread it out with. I'm going to pull this up here and get that bubble out, and this here. And this time, unlike on the bottom layer, I'm going to take my fingers over each of the ribbon like this to give it a little bit of curl. I love that, a little bit of poof. And this time I'm not doing back and forth. Again, it's all up to you how you want to lay your ribbon. I'm still going to do the striped on top, white in the middle, and hearts here. I'm going to fluff them up. Now we're going to come back to the pipe cleaner. You have an option. There's 2 things you can do. You can do it like you did on the bottom level, where you twist it up 8 to 10 times, 6, 8, 10 times to get a stub on it. And then in this case, if you were to do that, let me show you. pretend I've cut the top off. You would cut the excess off and tuck it under so that all you see is a little bit of a stub. But on this wreath, I'm going to unwind that. I'm going to take a little wooden dowel. I don't remember if I brought that up. You can use a pencil, a pen, anything you have handy that's not too thick. And I'm going to make little curly cues by wrapping them around the little peg. You can also buy buttons and other little attachments to put where the pipe cleaner is in the center of your ribbon to hide the pipe cleaner if you want. And I'll play with this again at the end. Spread them out. You can also use a pencil, a pen, or a stick like this to help give it the curl as well, if you want to do that. See how much more depth it gives it? But if you're putting it on a storm door like it's originally intended to be used for, you don't want it to be too poofed up because then it won't lay right. So there's that one. And again, I do the same thing. I do every other one. So that means I skip this one, I come here. Okay. You also want to make sure again that the ribbon that has the hearts on it, if it goes that way on that one, it needs to go that way on this one. So we put it in there, nice and tight 3 times. 1, 2, 3. It's gonna lay exactly like that one did. I popped the little bubble out. I hold the top 2 and I bring this out. Run my fingers over them to give them a little fluff. Never be afraid of it. It's in there nice and tight. You can tug on it a little bit and it won't hurt it. Take my little stick, wrap it around and make the little, I call them piggy tails. You can call them whatever you want. Wrap it around, twist, 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 and leave it in there. Alright, there's that one. Skip that one. Go to this one, and then we've used up our ribbon pile for that design. So we make sure that the ribbon with the hearts on it are facing the same direction as the other 2 we put into so far. Pinch in the center. Pipe cleaners are vertical. Ribbon is horizontal. But you can see by not doing the V in the ribbon bundles, you're covering up more of the mesh. Or in the outside edge, you're looking to bring all your ribbon out to the edge so it can be seen. That's why you do the V's. But again, it's entirely up to you. If you want it to look like mine, this is the technique. If you want to do something different, that's awesome. Whatever you want to do. Separate your fan your ribbon out. Run your fingers over it. Now see this ribbon? I did not cut it right, so I gotta fix that. Fold it in half. Spread out the ribbon. Get those bubbles out. Around the peg. Make those piggy tails. Refluff your ribbon. And now you go to your second batch of ribbon, the other design. In this case, it's going to cover the tip of his hat. That's why I say it's up to you whether you want to put the sign on before you put the ribbon or not, or if you want all of the sign to be on top of the ribbon. Yes, it's going to hide the tip of the top of that, but I'm all about the ribbon, but that's me. It's up to you what you do. So this time we're going to want to make sure that the ribbon is going in the opposite direction with the hearts. I'm going to gather. I'm going to bring both pieces out. Tight. Nice and tight, and that holds the sign in too. 1, 2, 3. This time, because the heart ribbon is on the outside in this combination, I'm going to put the heart ribbon on the inside. See what I mean? Inside, outside. And put the stripe on the outside. Get rid of the bubbles. Layering it this way, once again, as a reminder, helps to keep the depth of the wreath smaller, and I'll show you that once we get all the ribbon in. Make the little piggy tail. Little piggy tail. Sorry, I just got over a cold, so my voice is starting to go. All right, so see that? Position your ribbon. Come down here. Got 2 to go. Woohoo! All right, so this needs to go this way. Gather in your fingers. Put it in the vertical pipe cleaners with your ribbons going horizontal to you. 2, 1, 2, 3. Spread out your ribbon. Show it who's boss. Separate that out. Give it a little curl, get rid of those bubbles. I always try to make sure the top and the bottom are top. 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock are on top of the ribbon. It's just one of my weird idiosyncrasies. It's up to you. However you like it best is what you should do. And like I said, reach out to me if you have any questions. And while you're here, I would appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. Wreaths by Marguerite LLC, I believe. We're going to go with that. If it's different, I'll let you know. There's the last ribbon bundle. Let's see, the hearts need to go the other way. Gather your bundle at the center. Put it in pipe cleaners, tight 2 or 3 times. 2, 3. Then position your ribbon, taking the bubble out that was created by gathering the ribbon. And like I said, I like to keep 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock on top in the ribbon. Take that bubble out. Make the piggy tails, or twist and tuck if you decide to go that route. You could buy buttons, places like Hobby Lobby that have a shank on the back, which is a little piece I can show in further videos. Let's stand up, put it in front of us, make sure everything looks good, position all our ribbon, fluff it all out, make sure it looks how we want it to look. Bring out the ribbon on the bottom layer so it can be seen. And I'll look in the camera one more time to make sure it all looks right to me. Remembering that the mesh is your solid foundation to give it lift and support. In this type of wreath, you don't want to see a lot of the mesh, so make sure you get that ribbon pulled out, fluffed up. All right, let's turn this around and look at it in the camera. And there you go. A complete storm door style wreath. See how thin? Doesn't that look fluffy? And then you just turn it this way and get the ruler. You put it back down on the table. This wreath is 3.5 inches deep. Isn't that awesome? Came out right here. 3.5 inches. All right, you guys, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this. All right, everyone, so now our wreath is done. This is basically how it should look. Just remember that your wreath ribbon may not be in the same order as mine. Remember, I said it's up to you how you wanted to place your ribbon, that I put my favorite ribbons on top of the stack. Also, don't forget, the piggy tails are optional too. You can just twist them like you did on the bottom layer and tuck them underneath if you like. You could also accessorize them with buttons and other little embellishments if you want a little more. Just remember not to take it more than 4 inches. That will fit between a storm door and a screen door. And then that's it. So pretty easy, wouldn't you think? Just remember, in the kit, you'll have all the things that you need. You'll have instructions. The only thing you'll need to provide is your time, patience, and the tools you'll need, which I also explained in the tutorial. If you'd like to purchase one of the kits, they'll be in my Etsy shop. All that information will be down in the description. Also, please like and subscribe to our page. Don't forget to hit the bell, and we appreciate you spending your time with us today. You guys have a great one.